Hello, my wonderful fellow humans. This is Frank Cronin, your host here on the Irish Hour, broadcasting on mutinyradio.org, live, and also on my little podcast. If you Google GLOWPUNK, you'll find it too. So, this is the third podcast, and the last two I thought were, pretty average, but I think this one's going to be a little bit more special. I've got Dex Carvey, my roommate, with me, and I'm pretty excited. He's my co-host.
Thank you for allowing me to be here, Frank. Feels good.
Well, thank you for letting me attend your Thanksgiving yesterday, my first Thanksgiving ever.
Frank had his first ever Thanksgiving experience.
It was delicious.
And
so homely.
You could see it in his eyes. He was a little overwhelmed, but he dealt with it well.
It was kind of like Christmas for me. It reminded me very much of Christmas at home.
It is like Christmas, except you don't have to worry about giving anyone presents. You just get to hang out with your friends and your family. So it is a great time.
I did hear. Here's one for you. I asked somebody what Thanksgiving was about, and they didn't actually know what it was about. So I went on Wikipedia just to Google, and apparently it was about years and years ago. I think it was 1500s or 1600s. Or thereabouts. There's actually a lot of conjecture about when it originates from and where it originates from, but it's basically about it's basically a celebration of a bountiful harvest and a good
year.
Between
the Pilgrims and the Indians who came off the Mayflower, to be precise.
Really?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, it was fucking awesome, and I really enjoyed it because there was a very, very familial feel to it. There was candles on the table. There was pieces of bush cut out of the garden on the table as well, and it all looked very presentable. And just to have all family around is always nice, even though they're only my cousins. It felt like I was at home, and it felt like a very warm environment. You're used to that, though, here at Thanksgiving. You have it every year, they say.
Every year, except sometimes it depends on the level of motivation coming from the family for Thanksgiving. Sometimes we have turkey burgers, and other times it's like a whole feast. So you never know.
Yeah.
It just depends
on
the vibe.
What did we have yesterday? We had a few things that I'd never seen before.
We had the traditionals, but I don't know if you've seen them. We had the turkey, we had the stuffing, we had...
The stuffing was an interesting stuffing, not the usual Irish stuff.
It's like cooked bread.
Well, we have a bread, but you guys have big chunks of bread, which everyone in there is salivating at home listening to this, and in their car. Or if you're listening to this, I heard somebody here, Dex, tangent for you. This is how I roll, by the way, huge tangent-based material. So somebody emailed me there the other day and said that they listened to my podcast while they were lying in bed to fall asleep, which I didn't know whether that was an insult or whether it was flattering. But I was flattered that someone actually listened to it because they liked to just fall asleep to somebody talking.
That's great. Cool? Well, hey, I do it too. Honestly, I find it hard to fall asleep in a very quiet room for some reason.
Yeah, you leave a fan on it now.
I leave a fan on at least. Sometimes I even fall asleep to something on a laptop or a TV.
Is it true that you watch the same episode of...
I watch the same episode of Family Guy every night to help me fall asleep.
Wow.
It's very bizarre.
You must know it word for word at this point.
I really do.
That's crazy.
It's not even a good episode, but I think that's why it helps.
So what kind of minute do you get to in the episode?
I don't really know. I think I fall asleep around somewhere between 11 to 13 minutes in.
Wow, most people just go on Pornhub.
Pornhub, yeah.
But you've taken it to a more wholesome level.
It's very wholesome.
Awesome.
Family Guy. It's just great.
Well, after Thanksgiving, here's what shocked me: sweet potatoes. No, they weren't sweet enough. They put marshmallows on them to extra sweeten up the potatoes.
Not everyone does that, and you know what? A lot of people don't even know that exists. But yeah, we put marshmallows on top of the potatoes.
It was delicious. Your
mom's
a great cook.
Next level. She is.
And then we had the obligatory kind of drunken, not drunken, but there was a certain amount of alcohol ingested by everybody there, so everyone was really relaxed.
And Frank had his first slice ever of pecan pie.
Holy mother of God, that was good.
He calls it pecan pie, but it's pecan pie.
Pecan pie, yeah. You say tomato, I say potato. No? Nobody?
We're not going to get into that.
Well, after Thanksgiving anyway, I guess we all took it easy today, being Friday and no one had to work or anything, so it's Black Friday today, which I thought was amusing. I don't know if you guys find this amusing. But so, on Thanksgiving Day, everybody's really loving to each other and helping their grandmother around the house and would you like more, can I help you, and all this stuff. And then Black Friday, basically sucker punching grannies outside Best Buy for 50% off on a PlayStation. What is the story with the commercialism?
I wish I knew. I never really participated, but I think Black Friday is a bunch of BS. No, I've never done it.
I thought you didn't even do it for fun, because I would have thought as a teenager it would be an awesome thing to do, just to camp out with your friends and pretend to...
We didn't have money to buy like flat screens at 16, so we just never did it. And I didn't like video games, so I just didn't have a reason to go.
Yeah, literally there are people causing riots at these stores, though, right? Every year, and then you
People
get to watch
sleep
it on
out
YouTube.
not even the day before Black Friday. People sometimes camp out multiple days before Black Friday.
That's crazy. And they sleep in back. What? So does that mean that they
sleep in
miss?
tents,
They miss. Do they miss Thanksgiving?
They may leave in different groups to enjoy Thanksgiving at different times, but I think they always have someone at the hub.
And then what happens?
They don't lose their line.
Do they get let in one by one? And then
It's just like a stand-up comedy show,
so
open mic,
free for all. But if you
free
get there
for all.
first,
Whoever's there first gets their first PlayStation. I believe that's how it works.
I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. There's people getting punched in the head over a pair of shoes. That's insane.
It gets rough in there.
I can understand punching someone in the head over a pair of good shoes, but some of the shoes they were picking out, they weren't actually that attractive.
You think that's why it was called Black Friday, because it's kind of like a scary time.
Yeah. Why
I
is it
found
called
out yesterday, it's just because it's the most prosperous economic day of the year in America.
Right.
And it's the opposite of being in the red. It's being in the black. So
right.
It's called the Black Friday.
So black being positive, whereas we usually have connotations of black and darkness and all that sort of stuff. So rather than being in the red, we're in the black. Okay, that makes sense.
It's black and darkness for the people buying things, but for the ones who own the companies, it's a great day.
It's also kind of, it gives you an idea of how much profit they're really making if they can afford to sell these things at this price.
It's true, but also I must add, I learned something new, that actually a lot of these big companies, which I won't name,
Walmart, I'll name them, fuck them.
they make products specifically for Black Friday, and the quality is not there.
Okay, so I'm going to add a disclaimer there. I don't know anything about Walmart. All I know is that whenever I watch these videos...
They price match.
Yeah,
they have that price match thing. So basically Walmart, they will sell you anything at the cheapest price no matter what. You can go in there and tell them, hey, these people are selling something for less.
Yeah. Well,
and they'll match it.
I'm pretty sure if we Googled Walmart best of Black Friday fights, there'd probably be like a great compilation album made up by some
We could make a reality show just called Black Friday.
Well,
if it happened more than once a year, that'd be hard. But maybe a documentary show.
Well, it is great that it probably kickstarts. You know, it kickstarts basically the holiday season and the buying season, and kind of puts pressure on everybody to buy, which is probably good for the economy. But it is kind of a sickness in a way. It kind of depresses me that people would actually go to those lengths, unless of course they're queuing outside and they're buying stuff for people they love and they can't afford it another way.
True, and it is popular. Black Friday is popular. It's a word phrase that every American knows, I would say.
It is funny, just the juxtaposition of Thanksgiving, loving, and then just
buy whatever the fuck you can get for
because you're not you give thanks for everything you have, but then in all honesty, you just go out the next day and just need more.
Buy pointless shit for ridiculously low costs.
I've never been really into having, as you can see from my clothes, Dex. You're actually more fashion conscious and you make things work. But I've never.
I'm wearing jeans, a zip up hoodie, and a t-shirt.
Well, I don't know, but you have taste. But I've never invested. I'm actually wearing all hand-me-downs. This top, John, my friend, gave me from Mexico. These tracksuit bottoms I did buy, but
tracksuit bottoms, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know, are workout pants.
Oh, workout pants for Irish people. Yeah,
but tracksuit bottoms is what you call them.
Well, when I was making this, when I mentioned that I was going on the podcast through my little social networks, which you can find if you Google GLOWPUNK. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, and all those things. I asked for some questions, and they just said, what do you do in the evenings? They said, what do I do in the evenings? So I guess, to be honest, I'm living out in the sticks in Marin, which means out in the middle of nowhere. My best friends are deer. There's probably
there's raccoons.
There's raccoons.
This is a true story. I went through the gate, and I was confronted.
This is the gate in your own home, is it?
In my own home, right
family
here.
Home.
Actually,
okay.
Yeah. I went through the gate, and there was this large animal growling at me.
An elephant?
It was not an elephant, but it was a coyote. And coyotes actually are scary because they frightened me. So that it's not a joke out here.
Well, they move in packs, don't they?
They did. There was multiple of them. They're growling at me, ready to fight. And I couldn't do anything but run away.
What age were you when this happened?
This was literally a month and a half ago.
Wow. Okay, so you weren't just a little kid.
This is real deal right here. Yeah.
That amuses me more because I do see you as a tough guy, but a month ago you were scared.
A growling, slobbering, like angry coyote, like 2 feet away from you. I don't care if you're not ready for that. That's gonna put you in a weird headspace.
Well, it does sound a little intimidating, all right. If I saw a coyote now and he was growling at me and I didn't know what it was, I would be scared. I know there's mountain lions around here as well.
I've never seen one, but they are big. Yeah, they can kill.
My aunt Anne, who lives nearby, she said she saw a mountain lion once when she was going out to the seal sanctuary. She was helping some seals.
She's been helping seals for like 30 years. It's pretty cool.
She doesn't train them to juggle balls or anything like that, but she just puts them back in their feet, throws them back into the sea. If they're well enough, otherwise they get rehoused, which is kind of cool. But she saw a mountain lion on the road one morning driving out there. She said that she was intimidated by the size of it, Dex.
They are big. Speaking of which,
Go on.
Marine animals, we saw a very cool documentary.
Oh yeah,
over Thanksgiving.
CNN did one of the best documentaries I'd say I've ever seen. Obviously,
called Blackfish.
Blackfish, hashtag Blackfish. If you want to go on there, I know last time I put up a podcast, somebody said, "Hey, I spend a lot of time googling all the little things that you mentioned." So if you guys want to Google this hashtag Blackfish, it's well worth the hour and a half or the 2 hours of your time just to check it out. It's basically, Dex, what's it about?
It's about SeaWorld and kind of the corruptness behind it, and
the abuse, the abuse of killer whales, right?
The abuse of killer whales, and also the deaths of the trainers, mostly due to one very angry whale.
Yeah,
Tillicum.
Does it? Yeah, till I come. Except he is actually used for his semen, but that has really nothing to do with the storyline. But he's bred, and 54% of all the killer whales, I think, in SeaWorld, this is according to them now, so there's my disclaimer again, 54% of all the killer whales in the SeaWorld and their extended businesses are descendants of this guy, because they've been jacking him off every day in a little sock.
And it's messed up because he is a very angry whale.
Yeah, he's already got three murders under his belt.
Yep, he's a 3-time convicted murderer. So it's like breeding an angry pit bull with a lot of other pit bulls, and you're going to get a lot of angry pit bulls. So
yeah, and up until recently, people were getting in there with him. They were swimming around with this guy. This wild animal who's used to covering thousands of miles is highly empathetic, highly intelligent. And actually, in the documentary, one thing that I latched onto, I don't know if anyone else cares about this, but it is interesting, that whales actually have an extra part in their brain that deals with emotion that humans don't have. So they may actually be more empathetic than humans, or more emotionally linked than humans, which would explain things like mass strandings on beaches and such. But one of the really cool thing was,
or they're just retarded and they just lost sight.
Yeah,
that's the opposing side.
What's the other side? What's that?
When they beach themselves, are they committing suicide, or did they just go like, "Ooh,
did something happen
on the beach"?
Yeah.
That's the opposing side.
Well, check it out. Hashtag Blackfish. Very
it is an incredible documentary.
It is. It's well worth your time. But anyway, going back, Jesus, you, my dear sir, are like me. You go off on tangents as well. This is great. This is Dex's first time sitting down with me for a podcast. Usually he's in the background frying some eggs and talking about getting laid. But today he decided to sit down.
I take a seat.
Yeah, we actually just came back. What do we do in the evenings? People were asking via the emails. And we just came back from doing stand-up comedy in the city. We both kind of had rough sets, but we learned
I wouldn't call them rough. They just were kind of melancholy, and they weren't up to the expectations that we hold for ourselves. But it was fun, and we learned a lot. We also were both trying new material. And I'm very new into the stand-up gig. So this is like my 7th time ever doing it. So I'm still having a blast.
Yeah.
Frank may give you a different perspective on how he felt about his set, but I still.
I see it as there's a cliched saying that stand-up comedy is a marathon, not a short race, and you just got to keep pushing and trying things out. So I see every set right now as an experiment, see what you can get away with. So I rushed through my jokes today to see if I could get things to work if I spoke faster. It didn't work out. So timing really is everything.
Here's a metaphor for you, for a metaphor boy.
We also know Dex is metaphor boy because he comes up with the most.
I have some pretty insane metaphors. This one's not that insane, but I would
metaphor boy. Wait, we'll do a little jingle. Now introducing Metaphor Boy.
Greetings. Really though, I'm gonna be honest. Stand up, I feel like it's not like learning to ride a bike, because you can learn to ride a bike in a couple days. Stand-up's kind of like trying to be like a pro BMX rider, a pro mountain biker. Like, yeah, you can get up on stage and hold the microphone and probably get some people to laugh. Mm-hmm. That's not, a lot of people can do that. But to get to a level of professionality, which we all want, that takes years and years of just
we'll be talking
about,
for the people out there, guys, if you want to Google what a real professional comedian looks like, check out Bill Burr, Louis C.K., those kind of guys. Those guys are 30 years in, 40 years in, and they are consummate professionals, whereas we at the other end are delusional wannabes, and but we're aware of the long journey.
Fortunately, we are aware,
or unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do it.
Well, I know why I do, because it's at Mutiny Radio. Mutiny Radio is great, mutinyradio.org, and Pamtastic's open mic night every Friday.
I will
it's
say,
just a welcoming place.
Pamtastic's open mic is my favorite.
21st in Florida. Check it out in the Mission District in San Francisco.
If anyone is interested in doing stand-up comedy, coming from a new person in the whole scene, go to Mutiny Radio Friday nights, 8 o'clock. Be there early because there is a list and there is a group of comedians that all want to get.
Yeah, you want to get there around 7.
It is a very welcoming environment and it makes you feel really good and it's a great space to learn and progress. So that's coming from a guy who's just new to the scene.
Yeah, 6'7".
I love Mutiny. It's my favorite place to do comedy, and that's just not even trying to like kiss up to anyone. That's my honest truth.
No, it is a very warm room.
It's
a very welcoming room. It's a very welcoming room, and it's got a nice atmosphere. But yeah, so when we're not doing that, we're usually, what are we doing? Spending time outside 7-Eleven or walking to 7-Eleven?
We walk to 7-Eleven a lot because we live in a small little town.
Yeah.
But it is humbling.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but 7-Eleven is actually a Chinese company, as far as I know, or it's owned anyway by an Asian consortium, and fantastic business, and obviously very well run and very successful. But originally it was open from 7 to 11, to cater for people.
That was a big deal back then.
Yeah, because nothing was open that long. My God! So if you look at the hours, I think it's basically 2 shifts, 2 8-hour shifts with a little bit of a lap crossover. But then they realized that everybody in California was smoking so much weed that they needed to open later for the munchies.
So now it's 24/7.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But we go down there. We know all the crew down there off by heart. And we're filming little videos in there at night now.
We are. What we do with our spare time, we make funny videos, and we just try to stay creative, and try to make it seem like we're actually doing something with our lives when we're really, sometimes it feels like we aren't.
Yeah.
So
we do all right.
We do all right. It's better than working at McDonald's, because I swear I've done that, and it's just not for me. I wish it could be for me.
Yeah, well, arguably McDonald's is kind of, and I've worked some really tough jobs, but it's great training in there. But it is arguably a starter job that gives you, an introduction.
It is a starter job because it is hard.
Yeah.
Like McDonald's, you work at McDonald's, like that, like you are on your feet.
Oh, there's
8 hours. With maybe a 15-minute break.
Yeah,
maybe.
And they have an old saying: if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Yeah.
Which is, just a great little thing to get people working really hard.
It's a great first job to get your head straightened out and say, whoa, yeah.
Another person, an American girl, I think her name was Stacey Holmes. Stacey Holmes sent me a message asking, she goes, "What do you think of Americans?" And I said, obviously I love them because I'm here. But the reason I like them, apart from having relatives like Dex here, is that you guys are just hardwired for success. Anyone who made it over here years ago, all the descendants, all the people are all kind of, dreamers and people who were tough. You survived the coffin ships, you were plucked from your countries, or you survived a famine, and then you came over here. Then you had to, throughout expansionism, you had to cross across America, climb mountains, wrestle wild buffalo, and then eventually, I think, like Dex, you got to California, sat on a hill, and one of the local Red Indians passed you a bit of weed.
And then we relaxed. And then we realized our work was done.
Then you figured out, fuck this, we can't do all the hard work anymore. Let's create the dot-com boom.
That is a very great picture of America. You can definitely look at it in another way that is a lot darker. That makes us seem like a bunch of assholes. Well, the real Americans.
There's no real Americans though, right?
There are real.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, you're talking.
That is a bit.
No, I'm
talking about Native Americans.
Ah, yes,
there are real Americans. Those are the true real Americans, and we were not very nice to them.
No, and that is usually the case. That's the whole case throughout the world in the last 500 years.
Right.
Colonialism, expansionism, same going on in Central America. Same happened in Ireland. 800 years of oppression from the English. We like to go on about it. It's hopefully something that we as the human race will.
I'm an American, but I still don't like the English because I hold on to my Irish roots.
Well, let's keep
so do a lot of other Americans do. But hey, I dated an English girl, and she was very nice. So let's just try to stay open to everyone and not judge.
Yeah.
And I think the world will be a better place. I am not high right now, by the way, even with all this hippy dippy
stuff.
On.
Actually, here's a story for you. Someone said, let's read this one out. Michael, how do you say it? Polonsky, I guess he might be of Russian descent. Michael Polonsky asked, have you any experience with drugs? And I'll be honest with you, I never took drugs because I was in the army for the first 6 years, and I was under strict blood tests And when I came out to California, I had just left the army, so I decided to try mushrooms and some weed because they're the local delicacies here. And I had them out in a hippie commune, as Dex just mentioned, out in Bolinas.
Bolinas, California.
Tell them about Bolinas, Dex.
Bolinas is a very interesting place. It's very small, and they like to keep it kind of unknown. Like the city will.
Is it true that they hide the sign?
They hide the sign. They tear it down, so you can't find it.
So you're driving out there. You're looking. If you don't have a sat nav, there's no way you'll find Bolinas.
Yeah. That's
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. I was luckily in a car with some locals, and it was a great 4th of July. I saw and heard things that I don't think are humanly possible unless you're under the influence of hallucinogenic mushrooms.
And I've never taken mushrooms because I feel like I wouldn't like it.
No, you're better off.
I smoked weed 5 months ago for the first time in like 3 years, and it was just too much.
It's crazy,
weed has
isn't it?
changed.
It's crazy.
I could not drive my own car, and I don't remember weed being like that. So it's at another level.
Would you believe that in some countries they're now moving the classification of weed up to a Class A drug?
I think that's stupid because there's never been an overdose recorded or death from weed.
There's other shows on mutinyradio.org that actually go on for 1 and 2 and 3 hours talking about weeds, the rights, the expansion of weed culture in America, Canada, and across the world. So if you're into that, keep tuning into mutinyradio.org. I'm actually we're on a clean path right now, so we're enjoying the fact of not talking about drugs. So I'm just going to move away from that. Thank you, Mr. Polonsky. Now, here's one for you. Someone also said, and Dex was down with me there in Mexico recently. He goes, let's see. Joe Patrick, who's a Canadian friend of mine, sent me a little email. He said, I met him down in Mexico actually. He said, tell a funny story about Mexico. Well, I don't really know how to tell funny stories, but I'll tell you a story. Dex, you were down there recently.
I was down there, about a month ago. I loved it.
Did you?
It's very different than America, but I loved it. Yeah.
It's a little intimidating when you don't have the language, right?
I took Spanish for 8 years in school, and it just didn't stick. I think the only way to learn is to move to a country that speaks the language.
Yeah, and date someone who's local.
Yep, that's also a good idea. Yeah. But I liked it. Guadalajara.
Guadalajara, Mexico.
Is awesome. Or second largest city.
Yeah, I've heard people call it Guadalajara.
Can be called Guadalajara.
I'll be honest with you, my girlfriend's from there. I love it and I love her.
I'd rather go to Guadalajara than Acapulco, though.
Well, okay, so yes, if my girlfriend's, I'm covered to say that because my girlfriend's Mexican and she told me that joke, so we're covered. But yeah, so anyway, Joe Patrick, I was down there about 3 years ago. I have some great stories from down there. One of my best adventures ever was from down there. I was myself and an Australian friend of mine, Trevor Jolly, if you want to look him up on Facebook. He's a nice guy. Basically, we one night sat at the side of a train. We had spent a little time with the locals, and we had heard about these guys who travel up from Central America all the way up to the American border. So they could be on the train for maybe 2-3 months by the time they get to Guadalajara. And very tough people. Mentally, to do that, to put their lives at risk. It's actually called the train of death. Would you believe, Dex?
I've heard that, and I've heard that it's also a likelihood to fall off the train and injure
you can hurt yourself. There's also coyotes, and not the coyote that kind of attacked you.
But they do similar things, don't they?
They do. They extort. Well, were you extorted money? People taking money from you?
Almost, actually, by the police. The Mexican police. They didn't like me very much for my tattoos.
I'll be honest, man. I've had some problems with the Mexican police. Mexican people, absolutely lovely. Absolutely. I've actually had no problems, but I have been robbed in my 5 years living there. I've been robbed 3 or 4 times by the police. I even did a little stint in jail for something I didn't do because the police were corrupt and they wanted to extort money. And I actually ended up buying my way out with 6 bottles of 12-year Buchanan's whiskey.
That's the only thing. When you get in trouble in Mexico with the cops,
yes,
you can just give them a present or some money, and then it's all good.
I can't even count the amount of times that the cops have asked me to buy them a coffee. Or they'll tell me I ran a red light. But this you see is reality. This is based on my experiences. The reality of Mexico compared to what you see on the news here is completely different. Sometimes in the States it looks like there's a kind of an agenda to paint Mexico as this very dangerous killing zone.
It's not like that. There's certain parts that are dangerous for sure. Guadalajara, second largest city in Mexico, was awesome. They had more shopping malls and more
high end, right? You were literally shocked by how.
Yeah, so much capitalism. They have this thing called VIP cinema, which doesn't exist
Oh, that's
anywhere else
great.
that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Which are movie theaters that only have about 18 seats in them, and they're big leather reclining seats, and you
Beautiful,
can
yeah.
have waiters come in and order food while you're watching the movie. It's
You can
awesome.
have a little
Only in
strawberry
Guadalajara I've seen
daiquiri.
it.
Strawberry
You got
daiquiri.
strawberry daiquiri and some
You can have
sushi.
sushi, yeah, crazy.
So yeah, it was awesome. I really like Guadalajara. It's a very cool city.
And what did you?
And I felt safe.
What do you
walking
think of the
around all day.
ladies there?
They were the prettiest women I have ever seen.
Yeah,
They were
I knew
very
you were going to
gorgeous,
say
very
that.
nice.
That's why I set you up for that. But it is true. They're arguably, and it is written about that the ladies of Guadalajara, Mexican ladies, obviously beautiful, but the ladies of Guadalajara are arguably in Mexico seen as the most beautiful women in the country. So if you're actually looking for a place to go and you want to meet really nice people, if you want to see some really nice people, meet some really nice people, and a very highly educated bunch. Most of the people we met spoke a little bit of English.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, all in University of Guadalajara was right near our hostel. Yeah, it was just a really good time. I had a blast. I wish I could have stayed longer than a week. It went by really quick. And just the food. Oh my God. You think we have good Mexican food in California? And
Would you
some
believe they
states.
have better Mexican food in
Would you
Mexico?
believe it? Yeah, but I'm serious. Like
Yeah.
I hold true that like California, we have really good Mexican food. But yeah,
Yeah.
Guadalajara took it
Oh,
to another
beautiful.
level.
Yeah, tortas ahogadas.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Best tacos. Oh my
Delicious. I have to say that Coca-Cola is better down there as well.
God. It is because it's made with cane sugar instead of corn syrup.
People listening to this podcast know that I have a Coca-Cola addiction.
Frank drinks a lot of Coke, but he's
Yeah.
went to the Diet Coke, which has been a very big shift for him. We're all very proud of him.
Yeah, and I've lost a lot of weight. I had a lot of weight just around my right upper forehead, and I got rid of that.
Yep, it's
Just by
slowly
swapping.
shrinking.
Well, anyway, Joe, Patrick, so we jumped on that fucking train of death, me and my Australian friend. We slept by the tracks with these guys who were travelling up, and we jumped on, and we were all very excited. The train started to move. We got about 2 kilometers up the track, and then the train stopped, so... But we got on the wrong train. But we were just following the immigrants, and we built up a great understanding of what they were going through. And it really is harrowing to think that people have to go to those lengths just for economic security and to put food on their tables, and the risks that they put themselves in. You know, these people they disappear, they get shot, they get extorted for money, they have to jump on trains, spend long hours, they get dehydrated. I mean, it's insane. And this is all basically policies that we as humans could help influence and change. But I guess, you know...
There's no simple answer to that.
Yeah.
You're going into muddy waters.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But thank you, Joe, for asking that question. Here's one for you, Dex, with your perfect teeth. You can't help but notice your smile is...
I had braces for a long time.
You did.
I never understood, though. They put braces on me when I still had my baby teeth, and it didn't make sense because they're going to fall out anyway.
Yeah,
That was just
well,
totally
they were making
money. Yeah.
They were making money.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Well,
But yeah,
I'm getting my teeth done. Anyone who's seen my videos knows that you could kick a field goal through my 2 front teeth, and that if I go to certain countries in Africa, there's a good
it's
chance
like
that I
a
get
Brooklyn-
poached for my ivory.
It's from Brooklyn.
Huh?
Those teeth, yeah, kind of a Brooklyn smile.
Yeah, you know, Americans have perfectly good smiles. You know, perfect smiles. But I have a perfectly good Irish smile. This, by Irish standards, is awesome. You know those the cigarette boxes?
They can fit.
That's actually but that's a picture of like my smile. If you ever look at a cigarette box and you see somebody's teeth falling out, that's what my teeth look like.
Right.
Like
We don't have those here, just so you know. In America, it's the one country that doesn't have like the gruesome images on
Do you
cigarette
not?
packages. Nope, we don't have any of them.
Wow. So I guess the lobbying from cigarette companies is so powerful here, right?
Oh yeah, because they're all American cigarettes. Yeah.
Wow.
Marlboro.
Is okay, Marlboro.
All those big ones, Camel.
And they've been lobbying. I imagine they put millions into every election, right?
I couldn't answer that question being only a 22-year-old kid in the sticks, but I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
I saw some documentaries on YouTube. It was pretty impressive. But anyway, I'm getting these Invisalign. It's going to take $12,000 out of my overall over the course of the next year and a half. $12,000 out of my bank account to get these teeth fixed. What do you think, Dex? Worth it? When you look at these bad boys?
It's going to change him, though. He's not going to be the same old Frank with that jolly old smile.
I have it's my aunt says whenever I arrive, she says, "Oh, look at Frank with the wolf grin." Isn't that terrible?
It's a wolfy grin.
It is. It's intimidating. A lot of people step across the street. I've had girls say to me, "I love you, but those fucking teeth." It's
So
true.
anyway, Invisalign, great invention. We were all thankful yesterday, and I think Frank was most thankful of all for the invention of Invisalign.
Yeah.
And we all said grace for Invisalign.
Yeah. So what are you driving right now, Tex?
I drive a red Ford pickup truck, Ford Ranger. It's very slow.
Is it?
It's
I've
slow
been
for
in
a
it. It
pickup
feels
truck.
fast for me, but then
It's
again,
slow for pickup with the 4-cylinder, but it has good fuel economy for a pickup. Yeah, it's a nice simple car. You have to roll the windows down with your hand, so
oh, sadness.
it's yeah.
What are you guys driving out there? I'd be interested in hearing in. You can email me at glowpunk@gmail.com. What are you guys driving out there, and what do you think the coolest thing to drive is? I'm a motorbike fan because the adrenaline rush. It
We
feels
love
like
bikes.
you're playing a computer game when you're out.
We both want bikes.
Anything you do is fun when you have a bike, right?
Yeah,
Tex?
that's what I want. Saving up for a bike.
The only thing is, at our age, and I know this from my experience and my luck, I broke a collarbone on a bike, and I've lost a few friends on bikes. Unfortunately, I think for the adrenaline junkie, the desire to go as fast as you can to wherever you're going kind of prevails when you have a bike, right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still worth it though.
Yeah. Well, you've a pickup truck, so you're kind of masculine, and
It's not a masculine truck though. It's like a gardener's truck. It's small. It does the job. You're not gonna tow a big boat with.
It's a workhorse.
It does. Yeah. It does the job. It's like like communist Russia. Like it's stern, fair, gets the job done, but it's not flashy.
Yeah.
If
If you can hear that, I'm just pouring myself another glass of Coke here. I'm on my second 4-liter bottle of Coke
in his
today.
8th bathroom break, but it's okay. I'm here for you guys when Frank has to use the bathroom. I know right now he may not say, but he does need to use the bathroom very badly.
We won't go into that, Dex. All right. Thank you very much. Mind your manners. You're only a guest on this show. Well, anyway, yeah. So, yeah, my car, I started renting a car. I got a little rental outside, $240 every month. I don't know if you guys know this, but it seems like a good idea. Why bother buying a car and investing all that cash and worrying about, your car breaking down when you can just rent a car for a certain amount of money every month and it's going to be brand new? It's pretty sweet, right?
It's a sweet little car, and it's fast. It has a little kick to it. The Honda Fit.
Honda Fit.
I'm a fan.
It is surprisingly a great car.
Guess what? $12 for half a tank. A $30 full tank that
Yeah.
goes for like 150 miles. It's pretty awesome.
It's great, and it is the kind of car. It is kind of if you were to go into stereotypes again, which are always funny because they're so ridiculous and you can't paint people with the one brush. But it's kind of like a mom's car.
It's like a mom's car,
But it's awesome.
or like a young aspiring DJ who's trying to discover his sexuality.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It works for San Francisco. It's a good city car. I could see it in Europe. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like a small car, but it gets
It's perfect
fast.
for parking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I would say. Anyone who's thinking of investing in a car, just consider the depreciation of your car before you buy it, and then just get yourself a rental because you'd never have to think about it. You hand it back after the 36 months. You pay your monthly installments, and you've no real responsibility with the car apart from handing it back in reasonably good working order. So I'm a big fan of rental cars now. Never was before.
It can be a really good idea, definitely.
I also bought a wallet, guys.
Frank has a wallet now.
Anyone who knew me knows
He was
that I'm a
fan
bit
of the money clip.
bit scattered. No, I wasn't. Never had a money clip, but I was.
He put it in his backpack.
Well, I used to just put.
That's true.
What's that? What did I do?
You put your money in your backpack.
Oh yeah, man. I
Just
just
loose.
yeah, money. Yeah, it's a bit worrying when Dex knows where my money is. And he's got all these lovely new clothes. But yeah, no. So I've always been a bit scattered, and I'll have literally walk around with a credit card in one pocket and on its own, not in a wallet, and I've got cash in another. And then I thought, well, maybe I should get a wallet. But maybe, guys, maybe a wallet is just worse, because if you lose your fucking wallet, you lose everything, right?
Yeah.
And I lose things. You've lost your wallet.
I have lost my wallet before, and it was pretty hard. Yeah, you lose the cash, and you lose your credit cards, and you lose your license. And the license is the worst because you have to go back to the freaking DMV, and no one wants to go to the DMV. I don't know, Frank. Frank may be familiar with the DMV, but it's long, tedious, and boring.
Yeah, and I believe manned by antisocial people who shouldn't have any dealings with the public in the first place.
I would definitely say so.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it, listeners? And feel free to get involved anytime you want. You can email us in at mutinyradio.org, or you can comment underneath this podcast wherever you find it. And I'll definitely be interacting more with the public as these emails keep coming in. It's very flattering and very encouraging when people write in. Actually, the last time, because it's not all positive, Dex. It's not all positive. We're opening ourselves up here to a lot of critique. But last time I made this, I got a private message on Facebook, and it was from a nice girl. She was pretty polite about it, but she said that, basically I was talking too much about death and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's really important to stay very aware of the fact that life is, in many respects, a terminal disease, and we only have a finite amount of time on this earth. And but I went on about it, I think, a bit too much, to the point where some people who were probably...
Life is a terminal disease? Yeah, there can be arguments to that. I think life is a gift.
Oh, it's absolutely a gift. But a lot of people go through it as if they have, the whole they have their whole world at their feet forever. Rather than, there are people, the majority of people, doing jobs they don't like for 30 years at a time. Does that not just depress you?
It is depressing, but then again, it's those people's choices, and also maybe it's a choice without a choice. You never know. It's hard to tell. I guess you really can only know yourself the best. But I would say, speaking of death, I'm actually going through a transition. I am, and have been, a pack-a-day smoker for over a year.
Wow.
And it's something that I definitely want to put an end to. So I went to the electronic cigarette thing, and I know a lot of people have seen the electronic cigarette phase go off. I wish I got into that business, because everyone wants the electronic cigarettes now. They're buying these $300 electronic cigarettes.
How much is an electronic cigarette? Because a lot of people
you get
don't.
The ones at 7-Eleven that cost $7, and then you get the ones that are really intense and have rechargeable batteries and different tanks.
You can get different flavors
juices.
and stuff, right?
There's all these independent companies now making different juices.
What kind of flavors can you get?
Literally anything you'd ever want. You can. I have blueberry waffles with butter.
Did you say something? You had
syrup.
Pancakes as well. You were smoking.
I was smoking banana pancakes with whipped cream. It tasted just like it, and it has nicotine.
See, that's the worrying thing, man. They're so tasty. I tried some of what Dex was smoking. They're so tasty that you can actually go the other way. So rather than giving up, you could actually be weaning people onto cigarettes with these things.
If you wanted to, it seems like the majority of the people that I've met are actually people trying to quit smoking. Mm-hmm. And then recently, I actually just got on Chantix, which you've probably seen commercials.
What's that?
It's supposedly some kind of medication that will help you quit smoking. I don't really know exactly how it works. It works with the nicotine receptors by blocking them or stimulating them.
You're just about to start that, are you?
I'm just about to embark on that quest. So yeah,
I've heard great things about that. I've also heard about the effects that it can have on your dreams and stuff.
It can have very crazy dreams, I guess. I don't know yet. I haven't started yet, but that's gonna be the next thing, and I'll let you guys know if I quit smoking. I'll give you guys the secret to success.
Well, great. I'm sure. Yeah, but I do agree. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, smoking, doing things like that don't help. You going to the gym every day. That's just being proactive, enjoying your life, trying to make the most of every day. Obviously, you have to have quiet days and spend time doing nothing, reflective, introspection, all of that's great. Speaking of Chantix and side effects, here's an interesting story. I thought it was interesting anyway. Maybe because I'm a fucking egotistical maniac and like talking about myself. But when I was applying for a cadetship in the army, I happened to be in Liberia in Africa, and I was on this stuff called Lariam, which is famously, as far as I know now, is famously not given to armies anymore because it's got so many bad side effects and had so many. There's been so many mishaps and suicides and whatever else. But also, all I used to experience, we used to have Lariam Wednesday. So on Wednesday, everybody in camp, out of 500 people, would take their Lariam, right? And that night, it was crazy. People having crazy dreams. People walking out of the cookhouse with their food on their tray, getting 300 meters away from the cookhouse and then realizing, coming to. I remember I was in an interview to get this cadetship, right? And there was 3 officers in front of me, and there was an iguana on the wall. He was all coloured. He was fucking beautiful. Only Africa has these beautiful animals. It's crazy what they got over there. So this iguana was on the wall. He wasn't part of the interview at all. He just happened to be coming in because it was a rundown hotel where we were staying. And, it was kind of disheveled and there was holes in the wall. So this iguana came in anyway to listen to the interview that I was doing with these 3 senior officers. And about midway through the interview, I just found myself looking and staring at this iguana, and he was staring at me. And I must have been looking at him for 2 to 3 minutes when I realised that I was in an interview looked back at the officers, and all three of them were staring at the iguana. It was awesome. It was awesome. And we just, at that moment, I just go to them. So I said, "Excuse me, sir, I'm really sorry." Because I was really small, very scared, nervous and all this. But then I just said, "Sir, like, there's no chance that I can pull this interview off under the influence of this Lariam." And they were going, "Yeah, I get it, don't worry. We're all in the same boat." But we all went back to the interview.
What was Lariam for?
For malaria. It's a tablet that you take it's a certain type of malaria that's only present in Liberia and around those kind of areas. It's like Lariam is basically the toughest anti-malarial drug as far as I know, one of the toughest out there. But it has such side effects, you know. And actually, yeah, it resulted in lower liver function for me. I had to come off and go on to some other stuff. But it was crazy, just beautiful. One of those moments where all the hierarchy and all the order was thrown to the side because we were all staring at an iguana. It was awesome.
That's an awesome story.
It was
the first time I've heard that story. I like that story a lot.
Thanks. There was also another story, Dex, since you seem to be mellowing out there on your nicotine cigarette. He's smoking his little.
I'm lightly puffing on an electronic cigarette as we speak.
Nice. Well, when I was over,
very daiquiri flavors.
When I was over in Liberia, he's smoking strawberry daiquiris here. Mm-hmm. When I was in Liberia, I was in the jungle one night, and there was all sorts of sounds from the jungle, all that kind of. Didn't know what was going on. All these crazy noises.
What was going on?
Well, I went out and I had a look, I'll tell you. So I was in my bed and you have your rifle by your side because if something kicks off, you have to be ready to go. Feeling like a real hero. It was raining, feeling really good about myself, making a difference in the world. It was peace enforcement, wasn't war. People were really happy we were there. It was nice. It was just like that, one of those proactive times in your life where you feel like, yeah, I'm doing something, I'm making a change, making a difference. Anyway, there was this fucking noise. Something was jumping onto the side of the tent and sliding down. And I eventually figured out that it was a frog, so he kept on jumping, sliding down, jumping, sliding down, jumping, sliding down. And I remember thinking, wow, this guy's so determined, he's going to make it one day. He's actually going to make it over my tent. So I was in such awe of this fella, I said, I'll go out and I'll have a look at him just so I can see him. I said, this guy's so determined, he's such an inspiration. I went outside, I had a look at him. He wasn't determined or even inspiring in any way, he was just a fucking dickhead. Just a stupid frog.
Just a retarded
frog.
Could never understand.
He could never understand that it was a tent. So there you go. He thought he was a hero for a second in my mind.
But just being a
yeah, just a dumb frog. Yeah, so I just lifted him up and put him on the other side of the tent. He went on his way.
Then he went on his way.
Made loads of more stupid frogs.
You always think, what do those animals think? Like, you know, like when you like get like an animal like in your yard. And you like carry it in your hands, and then you like move it to like somewhere else. Like imagine like as a human being, just being picked up and just placed like 100 miles somewhere else.
Oh, like an ant.
In the matter of like 2 seconds, just like now I'm in Arizona.
An ant can travel whatever distance.
You could pick up an ant and put it in the other side of your yard.
Take it in a plane and bring it across to another continent.
And it's just like, what happened? Yeah, no choice at all.
When we were again just. When I was in Africa, no, but there's just some great stories. We went over on this boat to an island, right? We had heard there was some rebels out there, so we commandeered, i.e. paid these guys for a bit of gas and their boats. And we rented their boats, went across to this island. When we got over there was a load of ant trails crossing the path as we went in. We were patrolling in, and it was real cool. It felt like a real military operation. And then we had a lot of time while we were just sitting down watching these ant trails going along while people went on and did a reconnaissance ahead. So just playing with this ant trail, and we were putting insects in with the ants. It's kind of sad, but also it is amazing what ants can do. Dex, over to you. That tangent wasn't
Ants can carry a lot more than their own body weight. If ants were the size of cars, they could carry like a lot of material.
How much, Dex, exactly? I need to know.
Like 1 million pounds.
1 million pounds.
They're like the best.
Yeah. So I'd be interested in your stories out there, guys. If you guys want to write a paragraph or an interesting story about something you did, I'll give you a little shout out and tell your story to the world here. So you can just email me in at glowpunk@gmail.com, glowpunk@gmail.com, or you can email in mutinyradio.org and to ask them to direct the email to me, or wherever you hear this podcast. You send us in a little story, an entertaining story about your life. Keep it short and sweet because I've got the attention span of a wasp. And Dex will probably be up there with me.
And wasps actually can have a longer attention span when they're angry.
Really?
Well, I've upset a wasp before, and it chased me for like
Did you cheat on it?
2 miles. No, I just disrupted it by accident.
What was it doing?
My friend climbed a tree, and there was a wasp nest, and all these wasps came out, and we ran away. I remember we were probably like 15. And I feel like we literally ran for probably almost 2 miles because we were on the mountain trying to get back to my car.
And the wasp was still following you?
The wasp followed us the entire time. Like, we were far enough away where the wasp, if they had any sort of, like, compassion or identity of themselves, they would have known, like, okay, we stung them enough. They learned their lesson.
So it wasn't just one wasp, it was
a lot of wasps.
Hive. Yeah.
It was a hive, and they just wanted to keep hurting us, just to really ingrain it in our minds that we will never come back.
Well, they made their point. And
they made their point. They couldn't, but they made their point pretty quickly, and then they just kept going.
Well, maybe they knew the coyotes. Maybe the coyote was an extension of their pack.
Maybe the coyote and the wasp are just both assholes.
These are all callbacks to the start of the podcast. If you don't know what we're talking about, how dare you?
Animals tend to attack me, and I always find it upsetting.
Nice.
I've almost gotten mauled by a grizzly bear.
What's the story about? Oh yeah, what's the story about you and the horses though? You guys went horse riding, and you always get the crazy.
I always get the crazy ones. There's always like
this is good. I like.
For
this.
anyone who goes horseback riding, let me tell you something. And anyone who's done this probably has a similar experience. You know, like everyone gets a horse. They always, the horse guy chooses everyone's horse that you're gonna ride. They always have like names for them, like like Bambi and like
softness
and Fluffles, and then like there's the one called like Thunderfuck. And I always get Thunderfuck. I always get Thunderfuck. They're like, Dex, here we're gonna give you Thunderfuck, and Thunderfuck obviously looks like he doesn't want anyone on him and doesn't want anything to do with anything.
Has his own agenda, probably some social problems, a sociopath.
And I'm not like a big guy. I don't know why they always give me Thunderfuck. And everyone has their own version of this story if they've ridden horses. Like someone gets on top of Thunderfuck and has a horrible time. I'm always amazed. Never fun. They always fall off.
I'm always amazed that kids are allowed when you go to the beach. There's usually in Ireland anyway. Down on these little strands, there's like a person encouraging really small kids to get on horses. Now I know horses are great animals, but they're so bloody powerful. Dex, back me up here.
I hate horses.
Do you?
Fucking hate them.
I like them.
I'd rather ride a motorcycle that you can have.
Well, horses are jealous of motorbikes.
Horses have their own mind, and they have their own agenda, and I don't like riding horses because they have their own agenda, and they know that I have no control.
And the power steering, there's never enough power steering fluid in them, because they always go the way they want to go.
They eat, and they shit, and then they die. That's what I think of horses being rated.
Well, wouldn't it be great? I always thought it'd be great to get it. I was thinking of this now, just because I didn't think I'd be up here trying to do comedy and hang out with you guys and make videos. But I was thinking about getting a horse in Mexico. Obviously learning how to take care of a horse first. Getting a horse in Mexico, getting it checked up, getting it all looked after, feed it up, and then just wander from southern Mexico to northern Mexico on the horse. I think that'll be kind of cool. You definitely get to understand and like your horse by the end of that.
That would be really, really cool, Frank. I hope you do that one day.
What would you prefer to do on the motorbike?
I'll be on the motorcycle.
Beside the horse, scaring it?
No. Like miles and miles ahead of you.
Okay.
Having a great time controlling my motorcycle.
Control? I feel like you're probably more likely to get hurt on a motorcycle.
No. Have you ever ridden a horse?
Yeah, I have. I actually, unfortunately, yeah, I have. I've lost a friend. I laugh now because it's so sad, but I lost a friend to a horse. Very sad. But
that's my point. That's messed up. But there you go.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like horses.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
because there's a Thunderfuck.
There are people
in every cluster of horses.
There is a lobby out there of horse lovers. Like people who like horses are very passionate about.
They're
horses.
very weird. Every guy that
Not
I
all
know,
of them.
no, every person. I'll say every person I know who's been to high school, which is probably almost all of us, knows the one girl who really loved horses.
Yeah.
Who wore her horseshoes to school and talked all about horses. To an extent that it was almost a little creepy. And I'm not going to say anything more about that. But
they're very attractive and they're well hung as well. Horses in general, a male horse is very well hung. They've got great hair, lovely locks.
It was just got to a point where it seemed sexual and it was just creepy.
They're great and horses love bondage as well. Look at all those leather straps. So maybe she was just into S&M, into that kinky stuff.
She was just the horse girl. Everyone knows the horse girl.
Did everyone ride her?
It's just
That's an Irishism.
Do
you know? Anyway, The Horse Girl by Dex Carvey. Yeah, it's a lovely kid's storybook, also available in hardback. So anyway, have you ever ridden a camel?
I wish. I have yet to go anywhere where camels exist.
Camels are all over the place in India. I spent a little time in India. 12 days, actually. I was in the middle of my cadetship and I wasn't supposed to go anywhere, but I fucking hated it so much. I needed a break from the rigors of army life that I snuck away to India for 12 days on my 2 weeks leave. Never filed the right paperwork. Sorry about that. Please don't come and get me now. But yeah, anyway, went to India, and you're driving down the road, and they really do look after. Well, I wouldn't say they look after animals, but any more than anywhere else. But there's, say, for instance, there's cows in the road. They're seen as sacred. There's also camels who are used kind of like workhorses, I guess, because the terrain is different. But you could be just driving down the road, and you have to swerve left because there's a camel, and you have to swerve right because there's a cow. It's pretty awesome. Dex, over to you. Dex is slowly falling asleep.
I've never been to India.
Dex,
I would love to go to India.
Do you know what you're feeling? Do you know what you're feeling right now? We're in the last 10 minutes of this podcast. This is one of the hardest times you're ever going to have in your life. The last 10 minutes of any podcast.
To be honest, I'm not. Frank's painting a picture of me that is far
Dex
from
is
accurate.
lying on the ground here.
I am in a chair right next to Frank, just enjoying his stories because some of these are new.
Nice.
And I would love to go to India. I really would love to travel.
You'd love this, Dex, and some of you guys would love this out there, guys and girls. In India, you can rent, where I was anyway. It was I think it was called the Sacred Triangle or the Holy Triangle. It's up near Delhi, and you can see the Himalayas if you go up north a little bit. So anyway, while I was there, I rented a motorbike, and I had the best time ever. It was only like $3. $3 a day
on a motorbike. Did you have the best time ever on a horse?
No.
Exactly.
I've never really had. I've always been a little bit scared when I'm on a horse.
Exactly. Finally you admit it.
You know when you put.
We'll end the subject after this, but Frank admits that horses are scary.
Well, they are scary. Well, they're only if you're. Yeah, I think even people who like them are a little bit scared. You know when you're feeding them and their lips are doing the food. When you're feeding and their lips, they're kind of like they can open more and they bend around your hand, and you're supposed to keep your hand flat while you're feeding the grass.
Or else they're gonna bite you.
You bite your whole hand off.
I just don't like horses.
They're so powerful.
Don't like them.
Yeah.
They're weird and strange.
What animals do you like, Dex? Because you've obviously got a thing against coyotes.
I have a cat, and it's very nice.
Is it? It's
I
very
like dogs, too. Dogs are nice.
Ginger the cat is very timid.
Jump on you.
What?
I don't like dogs that jump on you, and then the owner goes, "Oh, it's jumping on you because you're wearing a hood." That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay. Please get the dog off me now.
Yeah. Well, dogs are another kettle of fish altogether. Yeah, dogs are great.
Back to blackfish.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Should killer whales? This is a throwback now to minute 22, I think. I don't know, I'm just guessing. But do you guys think killer whales should be in SeaWorld? It just seems like a harrowing place for something so clever to be in such a small tank. And that, I guess, their fins are bent over. Apparently only 1% of killer whales in the wild have bent over fins, but I think 99% of killer whales...
They're broken. They're breaking. It's like being in prison your whole life. I mean, like, they travel thousands and thousands of miles every year in migration, and then you put one in a teeny little tank for its whole life. It's going to go a little crazy.
# Blackfish. Google it. It's one of the best hour and a halves of your life. It's a lot better than this fucking podcast, I can tell you that.
It's just weird. Yeah, SeaWorld's weird. I don't like zoos. I think they're wrong.
I grew up watching The Adventures of Michael Palin and The Adventures of David Attenborough. Do you know David Attenborough?
I do.
Here in the jungle, in the deepest, darkest recesses of... Yeah, that guy. He's an English dude, very old, very wise, great experience with animals. He's got like some of the best documentaries on earth, and check him out, David Attenborough. You'll love it. Yeah, I grew up watching his stuff, and I remember just being so in love with the idea of these vast open spaces where animals were just doing their thing, and that the human was only a visitor.
The human was in the cage.
Pardon me?
You said the human.
Yeah, the human should be in the cage,
watching the animals in their natural habitat. It shouldn't be the other way around.
And here's one for you: just because killer whales can't build guitars doesn't mean they're not intelligent. But I was a little. Thrown back by a friend of mine the other day who was convinced that killer whales weren't that intelligent. I there's different types of intelligence. Just because we have the ability to walk upright, create computers, and get other things to do, are we really? Should we have the right to dominate all other animals? Dex, you Neanderthal, what do you think?
I don't know. I think humans, let's just put it this way.
We are more intelligent.
Killer whales, do killer whales have an international space station?
Yes.
And the answer is no.
They actually do, Dex. You
and
just
I
don't know
can
about it
keep
because
it
you're
as
not that
simple as,
intelligent.
I keep it as simple as that. When the killer whales build an international space station.
But maybe they're clever. Maybe they know innately that they don't need that crap. They just need to kill and eat. And they're not. Maybe we have a sickness, this desire for commercialism and having shiny objects like magpies. Humans are basically magpies. That's what I'm saying, listeners. At minute 55.
I don't even know what a magpie is.
A magpie is something that collects. It's a bird in Ireland and the UK that collects stuff for its nest, generally shiny things. So if you go to a magpie's nest, sometimes you'll find a ring or a necklace.
Well, that seems interesting.
But yeah, okay. So no international space stations. If you saw, and this is straight up dead down the line. Don't please don't interrupt me. This is true. Now answer me this, Dex. If you found out tomorrow that there was a killer whale space station, and they were floating around and they had their little helmets on, right? This is dead serious. If they had their little helmets on, and they were doing scientific research up there. In their little spacesuits, the killer whales in their spacesuits.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you respect them?
I already respect them. Then at that level, I would be completely in shock and amazement, and would definitely think we should form some sort of alliance
with them, with the killer whales
before someone else does.
Yeah, killer whales.
Killer whales in space.
Another kid's book that Dex has written, and it is in hardback as well. So pay attention, check it out. It's in all good bookstores. Killer whales inside, just wearing these massive helmets, buzzing around.
There actually are space whales, but they're so far away that we can't reach them.
There probably is. What do you think of aliens, Dex? We had this discussion.
I believe that there probably is life on other planets if there truly are as many planets and stars as people say there are. It seems impossible.
It seems logical. It seems logical.
If we truly find out that we're the only planet that can inhabit life,
which we never.
That would be way more crazy to me than the other way around. That there's life on other planets. If we truly are the only planet that has life in the entire.
Well, if the universe is as big as they say, there probably is a killer whale space station somewhere. So you, by your own admission, you're stepping on your own
Well, then that's awesome. I hope there is.
They don't have the 5-finger gloves. They just have these big kind of mitten things that go over their.
Well, their brains are so developed they don't even need opposable thumbs. They move things through their mind. But also there is still, I saw a short little documentary that they're still hunting for this thing called a megalodon.
What is that?
Which I think
What's a megalodon?
It's a prehistoric shark the size of a school bus. So think of a great white shark the size of a school bus. And there's these scientists who still think possibly because so much of the ocean is still undiscovered that they may still have megalodons still existing in the ocean today.
Wow.
Searching for them.
Here, every now and then something does kind of wash up on the shores and people go, what the hell is that? Usually it's a used condom, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not a used condom or a tampon or some sort of thing that was just let out of the toilet. It's actually an animal that has been non-discovered. And actually, here, do you know? And I think all our listeners know this, and all this is general knowledge, and we're trying to sound intelligent. But there's thousands and thousands of animals out there that no one knows about. One of them isn't a horse, one of them isn't a coyote, and one of them isn't a whale. 3 animals which Dex Carvey hates.
No, I never said I hated whales.
No, you do. You love them all. You respect them all.
No, I don't respect horses. I think horses are great.
If a horse came in here now and said, "Excuse me, Dex, I unfortunately I was running down the road and one of my hooves clipped your wing mirror," I didn't have to come in here and say it to you.
I would give him the respect he deserved and would take down his number. But I think horses are great. I just don't prefer to ride them because they don't want to be. They don't want some human sitting on it.
Yeah, just let them roam free.
Let them do their own thing.
Let them paint their nails. If horses someone needs to develop nail varnish for horses.
Well, you know they make glue out of horse clippings or whatever, right?
Are there hooves?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Archie.
Yeah.
Is that true, guys?
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Well, here, we're in the last minute. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you, Dex, for joining me today. It was an absolute pleasure working with you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It was enjoyable, wasn't it?
It was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable hour. It was really fun.
Tangent-based. We went off on some crazy stuff.
We did.
And then if we offended everyone, we're really sorry, but we don't really care. We were quite... everything we say is...
We went from, fighting in Africa, world peace, to Killer Whale space station.
To kicking off wing mirrors.
Weed experiences, mushrooms, horses, motorbikes. Yeah, we have an interesting hour.
And we appreciate you guys listening in.
Thank you so much.
Follow us on GLOWPUNK, and if you want to join Dex Carvey on Facebook, just put in Dex Carvey. He's just DEXCARVEY.
Thank you very much. I'm also on Twitter, just at Dex Carvey.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, I'll let Frank wrap this up. Thank you for my time, Mutiny. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Peace out. Stopping it now. God, they can't hear this, but I have to say that was one of the most painful shows I've ever made. Oh, damn it, this thing's still on. Okay, well, just to let you guys know, the music in the background throughout that podcast was by a band called Hubble Mountain, HUBBELLMOUNTAIN. They're friends of ours, and they're really talented. Check them out on SoundCloud, Hubble Mountain. Peace.